President Trump's feud with the Catholic Church represents a golden opportunity to make everyday life in America better for all of us. Don't believe it? Stay tuned to find out how. Hey everyone, and welcome back to the show. I'm James Peppy, and this is Pep Talks. So right off the bat, let's be super clear. Today's pepisode is not about taking sides between Trump and Pope Leo, nor is it an outrage rant about the latest anti-social media post. As always, we'll leave that for the irresponsible mainstream media and all the screaming TikTokers out there who will say and do just about anything for clicks. Once again, Pep Talks is here to expose a far bigger story, the one the others are too blind to see, the one that matters most and opens the door to unifying, positive, meaningful change instead of more pointless anger and division. Because the real issue is almost never the political drama of the moment. It's the destructive pattern behind those dramas. Think about it. Most of us say we want better leadership in this country, complaining that we are forever forced to choose between the lesser of two evils. But then we fall right in line with a busted system where the loudest, most extreme voices take turns constantly attacking or constantly defending, and nothing ever changes. And here's the really important part most of us miss. Criticizing those we dislike or disagree with is easy. It's constant. It's expected. And it's just as easily and consistently blown off by so-called leaders who simply don't care what their critics think. But what really matters, what can actually make a real difference, is something else entirely. It's the expression of displeasure that comes from a leader's own supporters and their willingness to let that leader know in no uncertain terms when their words and deeds are unacceptable. That's the constructive pressure point. That's the slap in the face they sometimes need to snap out of it. That's the thing that can actually force meaningful change. But when we refuse to hold our own guy accountable, to let them know that they're off track and need to get back to what we really want and expect, when we stay quiet because we fear speaking up might help the other side or hurt our own, the result is not the progress we seek. It's a vicious cycle that drags us all down. Off-track leadership doesn't typically course correct on its own. Without pushback from its own supporters, it perceives approval. Then it normalizes. And then inevitably, it worsens. Nearly every time. Not because we don't care, but because our silence gets mistaken for permission. And that's where this gets bigger than just one more bad politician or just another all too typical political food fight. The corrupt power establishment, that naturally evolving ecosystem that feeds off our division and nonstop conflict, depends precisely upon that silent acceptance. Because as long as we allow them to keep us divided, as long as we refuse to admit when our side is wrong and demand better from our own leaders, and as long as we stay busy fighting each other while accepting our leaders' failures as normal politics, nothing actually changes. And they can go on reaping their profits and stealing our power. So the point and our choice is really pretty simple, but hugely important. We can stay quiet and continue enabling off-track leadership, or we can speak up when those we support fall short of our expectations and force the real change we all want. Because if we're serious about making real improvement, then we have to face this. Better leadership doesn't come from louder criticism or reflexive defense. It comes from leveraging our power in its most potent form by holding accountable the leaders who depend upon our support the most. Okay, so let's take this back to the beginning and how the president's feud with Pope Leo presents us with a great opportunity to improve our everyday lives. Here's my theory. Common sense Americans, including all but the most extreme Trump supporters, don't see the point in him attacking the Pope or lecturing him about morality and theology. But when that fight cranks up, it triggers the entirely predictable outrage from all the same Trump critics, at all the same news outlets and online platforms, in all the same ways they criticize everything he says and does, every time. And even though much of that criticism may be perfectly valid in the moment, many Trump backers have come to sense the opposite truth behind it. That much of it is little more than political opportunism from the left, dressed up as moral righteousness and indignation, as part of the normal power play to cripple a president they hate and win the next election. In other words, it's politics as usual. So their reaction, again, even as they may agree with the disapproval of the president's conduct, is to reflexively defend him while appearing to excuse and justify that conduct. So here's how we can make things better. If you're someone who regularly shares your thoughts and opinions about politics, and you concentrate your focus almost exclusively on Donald Trump's shortcomings, try making a conscious effort to dial it back just a little. Or better yet, find some silver lining of positivity and agreement, if only to remind yourself that hope for reconciliation remains. And if you're someone who generally supports Trump and finds yourself regularly compelled to defend him, even when you disapprove of his words and deeds, be assured that you hold the key to influencing him, and with a little luck, nudging him back into line toward the principles and outcomes that really matter to you. Understand, I'm only using Trump and current events as an example. These ideas can and should be applied to any leader, anywhere, at any time. The point is, rather than attacking or defending out of our conditioned political reflex, we should constantly remind ourselves and the leaders we support of our true objectives, and then demand that those leaders return their focus to those objectives. That is the best way to put a quick end to these pointless squabbles and the misguided expressions and conduct that trigger them, and get us all back on track to what it is we really want. And what is that? Simple. Greater freedom from outside interference to pursue happy, fulfilling lives in whatever way makes the most sense to each of us. That's it. This is how we turn the fight between the President of the United States and the leader of 1.5 billion Catholics into a catalyst for better lives, by taking it as a powerful reminder of how we can and must reclaim our power, effectively leverage it, especially with the political leaders who depend upon our support, and then hold those leaders accountable with this simple test. Do your words and deeds contribute to our pursuit of happier, everyday lives? Or do they simply perpetuate a busted system designed to keep us divided and distracted with never-ending, pointless conflict? It's difficult to see how the president's fight with Pope Leo might make life in America better for any of us. Common sense Americans want the focus to be on improving our economy, protecting our well-defined interests in peace and stability in strategic corners of the world, and expanding our freedom and individual liberty to pursue everyday happiness with minimal interference from the government and others who are determined to tell the rest of us how to live. Trump, like most presidents before him, will continue to ignore it when that message is delivered to him by his usual critics. When he starts hearing it from his supporters, however, he will have no choice but to listen and hopefully adjust his course in a most positive way. For the sake of our most unifying common interest, Are we ready to do our part? For Pep Talks, I'm James Pepe, reminding you to stay proud, get loud, and always remember, they work for us. Thanks, everybody.